Hello, welcome to the Pint Patter podcast, where our patters pish, but our pints aren't. To introduce ourselves, I'm Caden, and I'm joined by my co-host, Dino.
Hello, hello. And we're back. Halloween 2, Electric Boogaloo, the spooky episode. And of course, we have the return of a special guest, a spook master, James, aka OneLonelyFajita. Hey, hello.
Hello there. I am the Spook Master. Anyway, how's it going?
Yeah. Good, yeah. Oh, aside from me currently having COVID.
Yes.
So I sadly won't be able to crack a tinny for this episode. I do have some water to keep me hydrated.
H2O!
That's some good
High
H2O. High quality.
quality.
Stay hydrated, folks.
Oh,
That's the key here.
but yeah.
To start us on our Halloween 2 Electric Boogaloo,
Mhm.
I will introduce the topic of things that spooked us as children. And
Mhm.
I will start my first spookiness being T is for toilet. I don't know if any of you have heard of it.
I don't think I have.
No, I don't think so.
Have you heard of the artist Har Castle? He is famous for like claymations. You might have seen the Simpsons one where the family gets murdered.
Heard of him.
But he recently did some Adult Swim bumpers for Rick and Morty a few years ago for Halloween. But apart from that, he used to spook me to fuck as a child. Specifically from his T is for toilet animation he did. Claymation in itself is already spooky sometimes. And downright for this world.
Mhm.
So in this animation, there's a kid in it who's pretty much the main character, and he's scared of the toilet, thinking it's a monster. But as we gradually go through it, his parents try to like convince him that it's safe. So they go to help him, or at least show him that it's safe, going into the bathroom, and the dad lifts the toilet seat saying, "Look, oh, it's fine, it's fine." And then the toilet starts transforming into this, like, the Thing sort of monster, and just clamps down on the dad's hand and chomps it off. And the mother goes up, I'm pretty sure goes up to help him, and they all get caught in it, and both parents end up dying. Child is just scared as all hell, pretty much. And that spooked me for a while as a kid, because I was just like, I'm not going damn nowhere near a toilet.
Not a good inspiration for a child. You don't want to go to the toilet.
It's not good.
I'm looking into it just now, actually, and even just the claymation, because it's not like smoothed out perfect faces. Like, I can understand that's freaky in its own right, and it's just it looks
Yeah, as you're speaking
creepy.
about it, I'm remembering about it a lot more. I'm like, I have seen this. Because Lee Hardcastle did the Simpsons one as well, didn't he?
Yeah. I was saying the one where he murders the family.
Yeah. Good lord.
He also has done probably worse things, like Hell is for Hamster, or Hamster is for Hell, and it's got very bad topics, including rape. I don't know how you've put that into a hamster-based thing, but it's horrible. This stuff's always horrible. The only good stuff he's done that's semi-wholesome is he's done like claymations of like The Raid, but they're all cats.
Mm.
He did the same for The Thing, but they're all cats. He's a thing for making movies and stuff, but just cats. Apart from that, he's definitely not right in the head for a lot of his stuff.
Yeah.
But aye. Dylan, how about?
Was it?
Hmm?
Yeah, my first one.
Yeah.
One of the things that used to spook me as a kid, right? So when I was young, I used to have the original Xbox, and I used to play Halo quite a lot, like the original like Halo 1. Loved it, and I mind getting to the point in the game where the flood got introduced, And oh my god, that actually spooked me. Playing that. Just because it's like, there's a lot of points in the game where you've got like a whole squad as well.
Mm-hmm.
You've always got like teammates that are shooting away as well, so you can do whatever. And then it gets to like that point in the story, and you're on your own. So it's a lot more like sort of impactful. It's really good story writing as well. Like when you look back, because I did revisit the game a while after.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was playing it that young, I was like, oh, oh no, there's so many of them. Like I would not want to like enter the next room because I knew they'd be in there. Just fucking so many of them. So I'm like, I'm just gonna cap out here and do nothing. I
Take your time.
Just, I'll see you later. I'll try this another day.
They're pretty
Oh my
tall,
God.
actually, despite like the
some of them.
perception of them. Like you as a character are like 7 feet tall, so like in terms of human height, they're around your height.
So that's kind of terrifying. Imagine running into one of them.
Yeah. Oh god. It was pretty mad. Did you play Halo, James?
I didn't originally play Halo 1 or 2 like as a youngster, but I played Halo 3 several years back, and I finished it and I really enjoyed it. But the Flood definitely were like a tense part of the game because they're what's the word? Like they don't stop. They just like they're tenacious. They want to just get to you, and it's like, oh my god, like you are literally flooded with them, and it's just it's. I can imagine coming across them as a youngster. In the other games,
thinking, oh, this is a nice shooter with some aliens.
Oh, I'm enjoying this. Oh my god!
What the fuck? But yeah, that certainly spooked me.
Well, still on the topic of video games, as a child, I played. We had the PlayStation 1, so that was my first games console.
Oh yeah.
And played several games with my sister and everything, and we'd like take it in turns to try and get past certain sections of levels. So we had like Bugs Bunny Lost in Time, Crash Bandicoot, and Tomb Raider. And if I'm remembering correctly, it's either Tomb Raider or Xena the Warrior Princess. I can't recall exactly. But in one section of the game, these giant spiders just fall from the ceiling. And I remember the first time that happened, I screamed at the top of my lungs. I had to leave the room. I like ran away. That was too scary for me. Like, cause they were like a lot larger than the player model. So I was terrified. And I had to leave. I had to leave the room. I couldn't do it. And I don't know how long after that I ever went back to that one game because it was just too scary. I was like, no, this is horrible. I do not like this. Or I don't know if my sister took over and went past the that section of the level, but playing the PlayStation as a kid, I got so like into it. I was really getting into like the story of it, like because it was like a kind of a platformer section that we had to go. Like we were jumping across like these beams or something in this dark cave, and then these spiders just come and oh my god, it was terrifying. And
Imagine, God.
Playing it now, I'd probably be like, that's all right. This is fine. But yeah, as a kid, because they were so big, I couldn't do it. Exactly. It was just too much.
Christ. Arachnids, eh?
Oh man.
But yeah. And I'm still kind of fearful of spiders these days, but I'm trying to not be. That's it.
Very nice. First one.
Nice input from your cat there, James.
I know, he's yelling at me from across the room.
We'll go back to you then, Kid.
Yes, and going for free with video games. Mine is from one of the first games I ever owned, Batman Arkham Asylum. And there's just a segment in the game, like the entirety of the game is fine for me until I got to a segment in it where it's about Killer Croc in the sewer. And
yes.
As a 9-year-old, I was just like shitting myself going through it because it's a mix between I don't know when he's coming out, he's going to jump scare me, and I don't know which direction to look in because as you're going through the sewers, you've got 3 directions to look through for tunnels, and all you hear is a big splash of water, and you'll hear him going rah, and you'll start running, but you're like, which direction? You're turning all directions, and you have to be quick enough to throw a batarang at him to stop him. I used to shit my... I would just like stop playing. I was like, I've had enough. It takes me like 2 hours to get through that segment when I was like 9. But then there's me now playing the remaster, and I'm just like speed running it every time I go to replay the game.
Yeah.
It's such a difference.
You're so comfortable with that section now that you can just...
But younger, I sometimes just wouldn't even... I'd just put it on the controller, just not play it.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the story ends. Yeah. Killer Croc used to spook me the heck out, man.
Yeah, I suppose I should say another one then. So this, we're going to move away from gaming. This is actually from a film that I used to love growing up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Who Framed Roger Rabbit, right?
Classic.
Film.
Good film.
Very good film. And it's a weird one because it both like really spooked me out, especially the first time seeing it. But I like loved it at the same time, so I would like keep watching the film. And I'd get to it and I'd be like, but it's Judge Doom, right? Towards the end, played by the great Christopher Lloyd, isn't it?
Yes, indeed.
Oh,
iconic. But it's I think it's like after he gets steamrolled, right?
Literally steamrolled.
Literally steamrolled. And they sort of find out that he's like a toon as well. And he's like talking about it, and he goes over to one of the gas canisters, and he just blows himself up. He like just fills himself up again. You just see the air going back into his hands, his gloves, and then his feet, and his eyes pop out, and go into the ground, and then he turns around and he looks at I can't remember the guy's name. Turns around and looks at him, and then he just says something. His voice gets higher and higher, and it's like the CGI eyes,
Eddie,
the animated eyes, and Eddie, that's him. He just speaks to him, and it's like ah. And then from that point on, just anytime you see him, and it's just his eyes, just like moving about everywhere. The massive, all this, and then him melting. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
But it's one of those as well. Like if you look back in it, it's just really funny. Like it's good. But back then, when you're young watching this, because I think the film came out in like late 80s. Early 90s.
88, yeah.
88, yeah. And yeah, so just watching that as like a kid and then getting to that bit, it's like, oh, it's unsettling. It's so unsettling.
Yeah, that one scene definitely gave me some spooks as a kid.
It just traumatized kids everywhere.
Is it bad that I've never watched it?
Oh,
I've seen parts of it. I know of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not something I'd ever watched as a kid. I didn't even know it existed until I was like 14.
It's one I saw quite a lot as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't know if I should have, but it's one I did.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things on my list are things I'd seen when I was under the age of 10. And they're all pretty R-rated.
For my second thing that spooked me as a child, my dad. Now I'll elaborate. So,
my dad spooks me too. He's just not there. I sometimes hear him.
Oh Jesus! Um, oh, my dad, when I used to live at home, well, obviously as a kid, in the first house I lived in, I was, funnily enough, in the room that I was playing the PlayStation in. It was downstairs, and like from the staircase, you could, or from the room, you could see the staircase. And so I had my back to the door, just happily playing away. And then I heard this sound from out the room, and I turn around and there's nothing there. And so I turn back, and then I hear this sound again. I turn around, and then here comes. Now I know it was my dad, but at the time, here comes this thing. He was wearing this horrifying mask, like, and he was like acting all like creepily, like twisted arms and stuff, and he was just like going rah, rah, and stuff. So I've remembered it ever since. I actually brought it up with him when I seen him last. He comes down the stairs going rah, acting all like twisted and like creepy, and I crap myself completely. So, and I've never forgot it. And I brought it up with him last time I saw him, and he says that he did the same to my sister, but he didn't mean to scare her at the time. He was coming around the corner because he was gonna. We were at I think my granny and granddad's with some other family around, and he was just gonna come in the room and give us all a spook. But my sister, I think, was heading to the toilet at the time, and here comes my dad round the corner wearing the mask.
Oh my god!
Wearing the mask, and he says that she screamed like the top of her lungs, screamed, and like she was terrified. So he immediately took off the mask and was like, "It's me, it's me," but. Like the damage was done, so
already scarred.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I've always remembered from my childhood that gave me a good fright was him just slinking down the stairs with this terrifying mask on. It was like some cheap like plastic or rubber mask, that only covered like half your face. But
sometimes it's like the super cheap ones that are just so weirdly horrifying.
Yeah, like it was just creepy, and yeah, I've never forgotten it. So yeah, that's
the mask is floating about somewhere.
Oh, I don't even know if you still got it. I'll have to go next time I go to their house. I'll be like, so where's the mask?
Mask.
I do it to my cats.
Meow.
This is my cats. Yeah. Oh goodness, that's it. That's me with my things that spook me as children. Video games and my dad.
Video games and toilets.
A few things to spook us.
Video games and toilets.
So the next topic would be favorite Halloween and/or horror movies. And this is.
I feel I've got some good choices.
Me too. And to start us off again, pretty much my favorite horror movie of all time is Alien. I just love a bit of a xenomorph.
That is a good one.
And what's her name?
Ripley.
Yeah, it's Ripley, but what's the actress name? Is it the actress name Ripley?
Oh, Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, that's it. She's really good in a lot of things. That's her best performance in that. As well as having a cat in the film, so that's already a 10 out of 10.
Cat in the film, 10 out of 10.
But yeah, Alien is just a fantastic, like, it's psychological as well as just a horror, because it's the idea of being chased down that noisy ass dog. Yeah, the xenomorphs are a great concept because of it being like pure black, so even in darkness, you would barely be able to make it out. That's already a good design. But it does work as well as a psychological horror because of the way the crewmates have to react to each other and how they're slowly picked off. And the way that works. And the famous chest burster scene, which none of the actors knew was happening. I always like that fun fact. They're all actually on screen shitting themselves. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Oh man.
Yeah.
I remember learning about that scene because all they were told was just, "Oh, we'll just get a shot of you just having dinner, joking around, having a good time." And then suddenly this one guy starts coughing, so they're all like, "Haha, you choking on your food!" And then he takes it a bit far, spits up a bit of blood, and then he's on the table like writhing in agony. And this just with these like true reactions. I suppose like for a director that's like perfect
It
because
was
you're getting like legitimate reactions.
it was actually lamb's blood as well. It was real
was
blood.
it? There you go. Jesus.
I believe. But yeah, no, it's just a really good film in general, and it was great for its time. Although it's getting a bit worn by now with a lot of monster films, I reckon. Like just a sneaky monster chasing you down. That's not a bad thing necessarily. And it's not like all the sequels to Aliens, like they're not carbon copies of each other either, because Aliens is more of like an action thriller than it is a horror. And a weird FPS. Which is still good, but yeah, Alien, that's my first pick. I just really love it.
Nice.
Good old 79 classic.
Good choice.
Well, my first film is kind of it's a horror, like sort of sci-fi bit of comedy film. And it's Eight-Legged Freaks.
Oh
yeah. You've seen this film, yeah?
Yes, I've seen it once, and
just the one.
Yes.
So, in a similar way to what I was saying with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it was like it kind of spooked me, but I loved it at the same time. So I used to watch this film quite a lot when I was younger. I haven't seen it in so long, actually, but yeah. So that's like I think that the basis of it is like this kid goes around to I think a store owner that has like tons of spiders, and he was doing tests or something. And they just fucking like mutate and become fucking massive. Absolutely
fucking massive.
Like some of the scenes where where I think the cat goes missing, and you can like hear the cat in the wall, and the spider like attacking it, and they're all like, "What the fuck?" But yeah, Eight-Legged Freaks, man. Like it gets to a point where it like takes over the whole town.
Yeah, because they use the mines, the abandoned mines or something to at least move around the town.
And they're all in various sizes as well. Some mutated like to the size of a dog, and then there's others that are actually like car sized.
Yeah.
I mind one scene was just like this old man sat in his chair
watching TV.
Just watching the TV, and he just gets spun up.
Just like, woo!
Yeah. I always found that so funny.
Didn't in the end of the film, like the main one of the main dudes have to go save his like mother, his old woman mother, from like a big queen spider on his bike?
I think so. Yeah.
That was always fun.
I wish I could explain more about this film, but as I say, it's been so long. I'll need to watch it again at some point, but I used to love it.
It used to be mine and Ken's like comfort film where we just stick it on for fun.
Yeah.
Because it would be scary to some folk, but it's one of those films that aged weirdly, where it's sort of funny to watch, sort of like Chucky, Child's Play. Child's Play was a really funny film, even though it's supposed to be like a big horror. But yeah, that was a good film.
Yes, I remember I think I saw the opening sequence a few times, but I've only seen the full film of Eight-Legged Freaks once. Because I remember because he's got like racks on racks of like different spiders.
Yeah.
And he's getting water from a nearby puddle or something to feed them, to give them water. But then a chemical truck has lost a barrel in the water, so then he's giving them contaminated water or something along those lines. Anyway, he's getting his water from this puddle that has a barrel in it. So
That's always good. Bar war.
But yes, there are some interesting parts of the film. Like there's jumping spiders, I think, and then there's the guys on the motorbike trying to get away from the jumping spiders.
And oh yeah, it's like a motocross race.
Yeah, something like that. And then they're all laughing about, and then one jumps on this guy, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And they need to just bail.
Good film.
That's my first choice anyway.
Creepy.
Gamsey.
Right. One of my favorite Halloweeny movies is The Addams Family. What year was this? Addams, 1991. So yes, I've seen this film quite a few times, and there are just some certain scenes in it that are just amazing. And as I've gotten older, Gomez Addams is a fantastic father who's very proud of his children. He's very fond of his partner. He's just a great guy. His whole family are really spooky and creepy, but they're cool people. The film itself is an interesting little romp, as it were. And one of the scenes I really enjoy is when Wednesday and Pugsley, the kids, are doing a play at school. They're doing I don't know if it's some Shakespeare thing, but they're sword fighting, and Wednesday cuts Pugsley's arm off or something like that, or fake cuts his arm off, and he's just rigged up like this, like gallons of red paint or whatever to just gush out of his shoulder, and he just soaks the crowd, and then he swipes at Wednesday's neck, and then she's gushing, and it's just going all over the crowd, and their family are just thrilled with the performance because they love it, and like the whole front two rows are like just drenched in this like red paint or blood or whatever.
It's disgusted.
It's just absolutely disgusted, but the family is so proud of the performance. It's just a funny little like creepy but comedy film that I've seen several times and have enjoyed through the years.
Nice. I only first watched that last year.
You first watched it last? I mean, at least you've watched it. But come on, man. Right, you need to watch it again this year.
I'm planning to.
Good.
It's a really good film.
I really enjoy it, yes.
Oh shit, it's back to me.
It is back to you.
Yeah.
Well, my second film is more of a Halloween-y film, although it's actually closer to a Christmas film as well, being The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Good choice.
Ooh. It is a wonderful stop-motion film. I think it might be puppets they use. I don't think it's moldable figures, but it's just a phenomenally creepy film. A lot of good songs in it, very catchy songs. Just wonderful. But the visuals in it are very good for a start, because you've got the sense of all the monsters being scary, but then they're all actually quite like sometimes shy and nice to each other. Then you've got Santa Claus later in the film, who's sort of like an immensely angry person. But to be fair, he was kidnapped. But yeah, it was a good film. The main villain of it.
You're not going to be angry if you get kidnapped. What are you on about?
Santa Claus, you shouldn't be angry. But got a really charismatic villain in it, being a Boogeyman. Is it Boogeyman? Boogie. It's big. It's just Boogie, isn't it?
Boogie.
Boogie. Really, he's got one of those good villain songs, like Scar's got his song Lion King that's really like good. Boogie's got his own one. It's just interesting seeing the way that Jack is trying to like make an infrastructure of his own Christmas. Like he's building up his own through like sort of like not gaslighting himself into knowing what Christmas is, but like he's getting tidbits from being to the home of Christmas, the world of Christmas, and even mistaking Santa Claus as Sandy Claus, thinking that he's got massive claws and stuff like that.
Sandy Claus, yes.
And there's to be love good bit going on between Jack and I cannot mind her name, the Frankenstein bird. But it's just a generally good film, and of course it sort of like starts the theory thereafter of all the Tim Burton animated films being connected some way. Like Jack is the skeleton of the guy from Corpse Bride, and the dog is the ghost of the skeleton dog in Corpse Bride, and then before that, in Frank and Weenie, the dog who was alive in that film and then died, happens that dog, and then the kid's him.
I did come across that theory as well, and it does seem an interesting theory. I don't know if somebody's poked holes in it much, but yeah, it's definitely interesting.
I'd say the holes to be poked in it is the fact that Corpse Bride is a completely different time period than the other two. That'd be one, I'd imagine, because it's like Victorian times in Corpse Bride, I think.
Yeah, true.
I think. But yeah, no.
I think.
I thoroughly enjoy that film. I do like spooky aesthetics. Dylan?
Yeah,
Dylan.
Back to me. So my second pick can be Halloween, the 2018 film, however.
Oh.
Yeah, so there's so many like in general speaking, so many Halloween like classic horror films I've still to see. But the classic Halloween from '78, isn't it? We watched that last year, and then after that, ended up watching this one because it's essentially it's like a reboot thing, but it continues. So it's like I think it's a direct sequel from that very very first one. I don't know how the rest of the Halloween films play into it at all, but
that's just horror movies in general have sequels.
Yeah,
like
so many.
Friday the 13th is really bad for that, I think.
But so this one, I was like, right, I really fancy watching this. Because then Halloween Kills, which is out now, is a sequel to this one, and then there's the Halloween Ends, I think it's called.
Yeah.
But yeah, this has Jamie Lee Curtis, her role back as Laurie from the original film. And yeah, it's like on the sort of anniversary, the 40th, 40 years after his original killings. He's been planned to get moved to like a high security prison, and Laurie's just like she still lives in absolute fear in her like fortified house and everything. So she's still like she's got quite a stress relationship with her daughter and all that. And yeah, the film just sort of bases off that, and yeah, Mike Myers does break free.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. And he goes about and does his thing. It was I'd like after seeing the original, because there were so many funny parts in the original I found just because it's so old.
Oh, fucking literally when the officer and speaking to one of the girls, the car just drives around the corner of the avenue, and you just see Mike Myers in the car with the mask on driving about.
In the day.
Just
talking about in a car.
It's because he's in the fucking background, so you just make out that it's Mike because of the mask.
But,
Hold on. Michael Myers driving a car. Let me just...
yeah, you need to.
Let me just look at rare deleted scene 1978. Oh wait, no, that's a. Oh no, that's a spoof.
While you try and find this clip.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah, like I watched this film and I finished through and I thought, fucking hell. Like just the difference that like time can make, and when you've got like so much fucking production money behind it. I did really enjoy it, story. So I'll need to see Halloween Kills at some point. But I felt like I should include that because I do enjoy the basis of it.
Yeah.
I, in the spirit of the spooky season, have I think it's on Netflix. I have to go back and watch Halloween 1 and just work my way up because I think I've only ever seen snippets of most of them. I think I've seen Halloween H2O in its entirety, but
What the
I think
fuck's
that's
that
the
about?
only one. Halloween. I don't know why it's called H2O, but
Water.
it is 20 years later. So this was 20 years after the first one. It's just another Halloween film. Jamie Lee Curtis is in it. I think it follows on. I don't know why it's called
H2O, like Halloween 20 years later.
Yeah, but
So, like, Halloween.
a lot of people
yeah.
are like, water? Anyway, Halloween H20 there. It's 20 years later, also known as Halloween H20. Blah 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 blah. It's canonical, and I think that's the only one I've seen fully. But I've seen snippets of. I could be getting confused with Jason films, but no, I'm sure it's just that one. But yeah. Oh, it's me. So for my second one, it's a horror comedy, Shaun of the Dead. It's a film that I've seen plenty of times through the years. I remember watching it the very first time, and there's particular camera techniques and everything that I was like, why are they doing that? It doesn't look good. But like nowadays, I can appreciate, or not even nowadays, but like several times or several years after first seeing it, I can appreciate the camera techniques because it builds suspense and everything. But as an impatient child, I was like, I don't like this. But yes, Shaun of the Dead. Shaun, I can't even think of his last name. Shaun is a lowly electronics store employee or supervisor, and he lives in some part of London, and suddenly there's a zombie apocalypse. But in the first few hours of it, or the major sections of it, he doesn't realize that it's happened, and he's just going about his life. He goes to the corner shop, grabs himself an ice cream, can of soda, gets himself, or tries to get a newspaper, but they haven't been pulled in, so he leaves some money on the counter because the clerk isn't there. He's at the back of the shop, like just eating someone. So Shaun leaves some cash, says, I owe you 50p or 20p, whatever, and he leaves and heads home. And like as the camera follows him, it's a really good camera sequence. It follows him from leaving his house, along one street, down the other, to the corner shop, and then back up to his house. But as the camera's going, all this chaos is happening in the background, but he's none the wiser because he's like just awake. And he's just like scratching his head, just yawning, walking to the shop. Some jogger sprints past him, trying to get away from something horrible. And it's just a funny film, but I still enjoy it because I really enjoy like zombie films in general. So with the comedy that it brings, it's just a great watch, and it's very quotable as well. There's definitely some lines in it that you can somebody says it and you know instantly that it's from this film. And when I was in college, I don't know how, but I got on the topic of Shaun of the Dead with some people at college, and then since then I can't watch the film without thinking of them because we just quoted it so much to each other. It's just a good horror comedy zombie film.
Take car, go to mum's, kill Phil, grab
Yeah.
Liz, go to the Winchester, have a nice cold pint, and wait for all this to blow over.
And wait for all this to blow over. Like that's such a quotable scene, or segment. And you've got Red on you, because he's got a red pen in his shirt pocket, a white shirt pocket, and through that "You've Got Red on You" comes up throughout the film. It's just a good film.
That's just
He doesn't
Edgar
have
Wright,
a
though.
last name. As far as I'm aware, he doesn't have a last name. It's just called Sean on IMDb.
No, his last name is Of the Dead.
Hello.
Fuck's sake.
Of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead. At
Mr.
your
of the Dead.
service. Mr. of the Dead.
Sir of the
Yeah,
Dead.
that's thoroughly enjoy the film, and I've seen it many times through the years, I should say.
That's good. Edgar Wright is an incredible director for being produced that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But my last one is The Thing.
The Thing.
By John Carpenter, I believe. And it's a phenomenal film for creating tension, suspicion, just general paranoia between characters. You don't know who's turned. But the general gist of the film being, you got these, I think, scientists or researchers in like some sort of like North Pole sort of area, and maybe the Antarctic or something. But like they're researching something. They discover a slab, I believe, or is that in the remake? But essentially, they unleash an alien, a terrestrial being, some sort of monster onto their research site, and it's able to kill or take the form of a person. So it creates that sort of atmosphere of like, who can it be? So it's great for getting the audience invested, being like, oh, who's the dangerous one? Who's going to be killing who? Because it initially takes over a dog, and that's how we as an audience see what it's capable of. Because it can, like, just like that, snap away, instantly a dog. You wouldn't be able to tell it was a monster ever until it starts, like, doing its John Carpentry, transforming, turning into some sort of, like, tentacle monster. And I think one of the most standout scenes in the film for me is somebody's having a cardiac arrest, I believe, and the doctor takes out a defib kit, and as he's defibbing the guy, he goes in for a second charge, and the guy who's on the table, who's having the cardiac arrest, chest opens up, sort of like a rib cage, sort of turns into like pointy, sharp teeth. And as the hands go through into the chest cavity, it closes and takes the guy's arms off. I always thought that was like oh god, Jesus Christ. Then right after that, pretty sure the guy who's now found out the monster, his head sort of comes off and it turns into this weird like crab spider thing, where like eyes come out of the neck. But yeah, that's I think it's a terrific film for its writing and its suspense.
Very good. Suppose I should list my last one then?
Yeah.
Back to moi. Now my last pick, I've mostly thrown it in there for like so much nostalgia. And it is Casper.
Hey.
Classic kids Halloween film. I used to watch Casper quite a bit because I think there's quite a few different Casper films, isn't there?
There's a lot of animated ones.
Yeah. A lot of different Casper stuff. But yeah, I felt like I should include this. Despite pardon me. Despite the fact I haven't seen this in absolutely ages. My sister actually purchased it on Amazon Prime. I do plan on watching it very soon as a throwback. But yeah, I remember one of the scenes in this because like they end up hosting like a party in the like this big house, and both Casper and the main character, I can't remember her name,
Christina Ricci as Kat.
quite possibly. Like Casper briefly becomes not a ghost, and they share a dance in that. But yeah, it's one like I just it's nostalgic. Seen it, so just had to throw it in there.
That's definitely one of the films I've seen a whole bunch as a just growing up, and it is a really good film. I did really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
I was speaking to somebody at work actually about the film recently because she said that when he pours, because Casper's making breakfast for Kat, because
Yeah.
her and her dad have just moved into this mansion, and then she befriends Casper, and he's making Kat breakfast. He pours some orange juice with pulp through his hand, and he catches the pulp in his hand, but the juice goes through the bottom of his hand into the glass, and then he just throws the pulp against the wall. And then the lassie at work says she thought that looked like scrambled eggs, so she was really confused on how Casper got orange juice to scrambled eggs. But but it's just an interesting sequence, like him flying about this kitchen, putting all this food together for Kat. It's just really cute. But I think it's a good film.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, that's my last pick, and I think
Sweet.
It's on to you, James.
My
final one.
My third and final is The Exorcist, 1973. Now, I watched this probably 11 or let's say 12 years ago, so I was roughly 14 or 15, I'm gonna say. Roughly about that. Could have been earlier, but about there. And I'd heard about this film because it was, this great scary film. It's a classic in the horror genre. And like I'd seen snippets of it, of like in the film this girl gets possessed and then the demon just takes over her body and like makes her look creepy and is thrown up and everything. So I'd seen snippets of like when she's in full possession and everything. So watching this film, I'm getting into it. I'm like, oh, this is alright. This isn't too bad. But then for the less than a second, fastest increment of time, this creepy face just flashes on screen, then goes away, and it's not talked about, it's not brought up, it's just happens, and that it comes up, I think, at least a few times in the film, just flashes on screen, goes away, and that stuck with me like ever since I saw it, because it was so quick, so like almost incomprehensible, that it just, your brain knows it happened, but you're doubting yourself, like, what was that? And then it stays with you, like psychologically, it stays with you after the film. And like it's looking into it now, it's I think it's representing the face of horror or something like that. It's or the face of evil is what it is. So it just flashes on screen. And like one scene, the first time it happens, I think, because the girl has experienced some like discomfort, she's had some poor sleep and everything, so she's in the hospital. The nurse is doing some tests, getting like an ECG, I think it is, like a heart reading, and she's just lying on the bed. Then flash, and then back to the hospital scene, and it's like, what was that? And it's you can see in the film that she has just seen that in her mind, and like it leads to the possession and everything. It's something that stuck with me ever since seeing it. Just this creepy face just coming on screen, and it is a good film. It is a classic. It is a good film, and it's just this psychological aspect to it that has just stayed with me.
I've never seen the film, however, I'm going to bring up this guy again, Har Castle. He did a video that's like a parody of it, and I can never forget. It's sort of ruined the film for me, but it's literally just in the video. The priest comes in, starts speaking to the little girl who's possessed, and the little girl just goes, "Your mother stocked shelves in Morrison's," and just immediately the priest brings out his cross and like shoves it in her face, and she's like, "Ah!" So whenever I see clips of this possessed little girl, I'm always going to remember that quote of "Mother stocks shelves at Morrison's." Never going to leave my mind.
I've seen. Is it in a Scary Movie where they did a parody of it as well? And she's like, "Fuck me, fuck me," and then one of the priests is like, "Okay," and then just like gets on top of her. It's like, what the fuck? But
Scary Movie is so fucking hilarious.
yeah, I think it's a Scary Movie anyway. But yeah, it's just.
What's up?
But because The Exorcist, it's a classic. It's been parodied, referenced, like mentioned so much through history since it's been released. It's just like an integral part of horror, definitely.
Very much.
Yeah.
But that's me.
Wow.
Nice. Well, that wraps up this topic, I think.
Sweet.
It does indeed.
Brings us on to strangest phenomenons and events to occur in the world.
Ooh.
Phenomenons. Ooh. And my first one is the death of Elisa Lam. Don't know if either of you have heard of this. You might have seen the clip of this lady who is like paranoid in an elevator.
Oh shit! Yes, yeah. I'm looking at it just now. She was like talking to herself. She was like being paranoid, like looking around the corner and everything.
Yeah, so like all the footage shows her just like going in and out of the elevator, just looking around. She was clearly, the body behavior was just clearly showing her worried that somebody was coming to get her. She was clearly paranoid that somebody was going to be there, somebody was coming, and then after the footage there, nobody'd seen her since. And then I think it was something like a week or two later, maybe a month or two. I can't remember. It was 2-something, and essentially they'd found her body naked in a water tanker on the roof of the same hotel that she was in.
Wow.
Her clothes and belongings were in the water tanker, but she had somehow gotten like naked. So either she was in the tanker, somehow got herself in the tanker, and drowned after taking off all her stuff, or somebody had put her in there after God knows doing what with her. Something very strange had happened to this woman that we have no idea for.
I remember hearing about this, and it was just so strange. Like why was she all paranoid and jumpy, and then she was gone for such a long time. I think it was like a month or almost a month after she disappeared.
Yeah.
And then she ends up, like it says, in the water tank, but naked in her clothes. But it's just nuts, like what happened to her.
She was only, I think, like 21, or she was quite young. She was like a student still, I think.
She was 21. Yeah, Jesus, that is strange. It's something you'd really like to know the answers to, because it's just so weird, like what happened. But oh god,
that's what makes it so strange. Lack of context.
That's it. Lack of context. Like, what the fuck happened here?
It is. Oh god.
Yes, the death of Elisa Lam. That's my first one. Ellen?
Well, my first is kind of a natural one. I've linked you to the video as well, just to sort of remind you. But I'm sure you've heard that before. But it's just like the breeding earth, as it's called. And I think there's a couple different clips because it's happened a few times. I think the first one that I'm on about is this. Essentially, I think it's in Nova Scotia, and from the clip that you see, it's just like this sort of wooded area and a whole like patch of land, and with the trees and everything, it just slowly rising and then lowering, and it fully looks like just this fucking earth is breathing. It's literally breathing, which I always found fascinating watching. Um, the fact that someone is able to capture it as well. It just looks quite creepy, actually. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a fairly easily explained one as well, because I'm pretty sure with the flip that I'm on about, it's really really close to the ocean or like a river bit, so a lot of the soil's
Loose.
very loose and damp, and it's just like the wind's that strong that it's pulling at the trees, which is causing it to just all the soil to lift into the air,
Mm-hmm.
but then slowly go back down. Even then, even
It's
with an
wild.
explanation, it's pretty wild looking at it.
That's like the raining frogs thing. Like it's a phenomenon, but it can't be explained. Like there was like a place that had frogs literally flying from the sky onto the ground, but it was explained because there was just apparently like a lot of frogs at a water spout bit that just went off, and the water spout just went flying to the air basically, and it launched all the frogs in the area. Yeah, like it's just weird as hell.
Mm-hmm.
It's because it's so unnatural to look at. Like, even though there's a reason
Yeah,
for it, as you were saying, it's just like
right.
ground is supposed to be stable and solid. Seeing it just like
Exactly.
move around like the ocean and breathe up and down, you're like, oh, what the fuck?
Oh, what's going on?
Doctor Strange magic going on here.
Hmm. That's I think I want to mention that on my list. It's the first one for me. So that brings us round to James.
Hello there.
Hello.
Okay, so I don't know if my computer's got funky, so I'm just going to
Oh boy.
on my phone.
Oh, let me turn you up quickly then.
Yeah,
Okay.
audio's quite different.
Hello there. How is it going, my silky smooth voice? Hi there. I'm Casey Miller, and I'm anyway. Yeah, sorry.
You're good.
Okay, cool. So my first strangest phenomenons to occur in the world is something that I felt like I was going to have to deal with at least once in my life. Like as a kid, I thought this was like a major serious problem that we were going to have to like experience at least once. It's the Bermuda Triangle. Now, as a
Ooh.
kid, it came up in reference or in like direct like scenes of cartoons or something. Like it was spoken about quite a lot in different contexts and different shows and whatever. So I was thinking this was like a major, like majorly bad thing. But so to explain, the Bermuda Triangle, this is ripped straight from Wikipedia, also known as Devil's Triangle, is a loosely defined region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, where a number of aircraft and ships are said to have disappeared under mysterious circumstances. So, most reputable sources say that dismiss the idea that there is any actual mystery to this, because over the years, people have come to I think a conclusion of what's happening, and as far as I'm aware, it's varying pressures in the air that have, like, with. Let me just get my notes here. Essentially, boats and ships have been traveling through this area, and their radar or their navigation has gone askew in some regards.
Mm-hmm.
So they've fallen off track. They've gone a different direction to where they've been going, and
for some ships in particular. Like if they were due to get to a certain port at a certain time, and they haven't been there, then they'll go looking for the ship, and it's like, well, they should be here, but they're not. And last radio contact was here, and it's like the ship has gone the complete opposite direction, crashed and sunk, and it's just this weird, like, how did this happen? When they were on time, they were on schedule, they were going the right direction, then suddenly they went off course. And I can understand the origin of this, where the mystery has come from, like, ooh, spooky, something freaky has caused this to happen. Because, oh no, they're well-trained soldiers, or well-trained navymen. They know exactly what to do, but I can see where the mystery of this has come about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what drew attraction to it for me as a kid as well. I was just thinking, like, how is this possible? How can these well-trained soldiers or well-trained pilots lose themselves in this relatively small area of the world? And it's we have hypothetical explanation attempts. So people have tried to say it's paranormal. One explanation pins the blame on leftover technology from the mythical lost continent of Atlantis.
Oh yes.
So people have said, yes, there's mythical technology in Atlantis under the sea, that's throwing all these radars and everything off course. The one thing that I sort of agree with is the Gulf Stream is a major surface current. It is basically a river within the ocean, and like a river, it can and does carry floating objects. So in this instance, a ship may think it's going in the right direction, but the current, because it's such a strong current, has been pulling it in the complete wrong direction. So unfortunately, some ships have lost their way because of this. And even a small plane making a water landing could be carried away by the current and then lose themselves completely. And it's just, there's so many varying explanations, but I think I'll go with Atlantis. I think that's what it is. But yes, it's just such a strange thing. There's so much debate over it, and it's like we can, if we just put a bunch of people together, we can look into this and put some serious research into it. But over the years, people have just speculated so much. So yeah, that's it.
Fascinating.
Well, that is definitely
Caden.
Strange. But yes, my other entry is Robert Liston. He is a famous surgeon. Well, I don't know how famous, but he was pretty popular back in his day. And he was cutting about before anesthesia was a thing, so any sort of painkiller whatsoever during surgeries. So he was known for being the quickest surgeon about, and would sometimes amputate arms and legs within like 2.5 minutes, like quick as balls, basically. Sometimes even quicker. And essentially, he was so infatuated with the fact that he was like the quickest surgeon, because back in those days, the quicker you got like a leg off, the better chance they live because of blood loss and stuff like that, and thus the less pain overall. So he had a surgery he was supposed to do, where he so hasty with it, he unwittingly cut off his assistant's fingers when trying to amputate a leg, and then also continued cutting down into the leg and cutting it off. Both the patient and the assistant had died due to an infection because of this. Wow. And not even to cap it off, because I was shocked he did that, he swung his arm back with a knife, I believe, and it cut somebody's coattail who was in the surgeon's watch party. I thought, because back then during surgeries you could get people who'd come in and watch. What would happen when he swung his hand back with a knife in his hand? It had cut somebody along their coattails, and it also caused that person to get an infection, and they died. Which means this surgery had a 300% fatality rate. And he's had other surgeries where it's went wrong. Like there's a kid who he thought had a skin tag on his neck, turned out to be a aneurysm. Can't remember what it's called, but it was something to do with an aneurysm, and he wasn't supposed to cut it. And the second he did, it basically led to the kid's death.
Oh.
Oh, so he was like, "Oh, we'll just take that off for you." Oh God, you're dead.
Another surgery. He was taking a leg off, accidentally also took off the guy's testicle. But
How do you accidentally do that?
I don't know. This is the surgeon we're talking about. He was a very good surgeon, but he had a 300% mortality rate in one surgery. Other than that, he normally killed 1 out of 10 patients, whereas other doctors would do 1 in 3 or 4, I think. But he managed to live around the time when anesthesia did get introduced, and he did use anesthesia. But before that, he was just wild. He had a catchphrase. I think it was something like, "Time me, man." And you just start his surgery.
Oh my God.
So he was a wild
He's
man.
trying to be the best. He's just trying to be the best, and he's just killing people. Oh my God.
He didn't. Out of all the surgeries, he didn't kill a lot of people, but it's just that one surgery that he accidentally killed 3. And that child as well, but that's beside the point.
That's just unfortunate.
It is.
What a mad lad.
Absolute mad lad. Go on.
Dino.
Yes. So, my second tree is the story of the headless chicken. This is from 1945, pretty sure, where essentially this farmer called Lloyd Olson just went to, get one of his many chickens he had, and then he was planning on having it for dinner, right? And when he went to decapitate the chicken, and there's photos of this as well, which I've linked to you guys, where after he decapitated the chicken, it was just like, nah, I'm still alive, mate. And
that chicken's cracked.
Yeah, so it's like its head's gone, but I think he just narrowly missed the brain, so he continued to live. Like just cutting about around in the farm as well, so they kept him alive for the next I think it was about 18 months or so, and they could continue to feed him water just through the neck hole, with like an eyedropper that they had, and it's so creepy. Seeing the picture of this headless chicken and the head next to it as well, like deep in the eyes, just oh god. It's the fact that that's headless chicken's moving about, doing its normal thing. And after that, they called it Mike. I think they went about sort of showing the chicken off, like we've got. But yeah, as I say, they managed to keep it alive for 18 months or so. But then they end up losing the eyedropper, and Mike ended up choking on a kernel of corn, and they couldn't save him. Just a mad
poor Mike.
I know. Somehow managed to survive without a fucking head. Without a goddamn head. Yeah, it's just so crazy. The fact that it kept going.
Wild.
I'm just going to change back to my PC, so 2 seconds.
Okay.
Hello there.
Hello.
I'm back. Do you need to adjust levels?
You should be fine. Yeah, you're fine.
Right. My second strangest phenomenon to occur in the world. My goodness. It's something that I found quite fascinating when I was younger. Is the sailing stones of Death Valley. Now, basically, Death Valley, there's this massive, flat, open area of desert, rock, sand, etc. It's just this massive expanse of dry land. And for some reason, certain, say, a foot in diameter, have just been gliding across the floor, leaving these massive trails, as if someone's pushing them, or they're sliding like they're on a slope. But the weird thing is, it's completely flat. It's they move along the ground, but it can't be sliding down a slope because it's just there's no way. So yes, they are known as the sailing stones. It happens to even like pebbles and everything. Like they'll just slide along the floor. So it could be pebbles up to several hundreds of pounds worth of stone, just gliding along. Apparently, no one has ever seen them actually move in person. The trails left behind the stones and the periodic changes in their location make it clear that they do, but nobody's, as far as we're aware, nobody's actually seen it happen. The rocks of Racetrack Playa are composed of dolomite and syenite, some strange mineral. The same minerals that make up the surrounding mountains. This is the scientific explanation. Hold on. Rocks with a rough-bottomed surface leave straight tracks, while smooth-bottomed rocks tend to wander. So their trails will be like twisty-turny slightly. They've been observed and studied since the early 1900s, and several theories have come about because of it. Obviously, it's Atlantis. In 2014, scientists were actually able to capture the movement of the stones for the first time using time-lapse photography. So they would have set up a camera and recorded over a long period of time and been able to see stones actually moving. The results strongly suggest that sailing stones are a result of a perfect balance of ice, water, and wind. So in the winter of 2014, rain formed a small pond that froze overnight and thawed the next day, creating a vast sheet of ice that was reduced by midday to only a few millimeters thick. And then a light wind comes along, and this sheet broke up and accumulated behind the stones, slowly pushing them forward. So ice, water, and wind is apparently a good theory on the cause of these rocks being pushed. But as a kid, first learning about this, going, nah, rocks can't move on their own. Nah, mate, nah. So I was bewildered by this. A good friend of mine has actually been to Death Valley, so he's like seen the surrounding area and everything. But yeah, growing up, I was like, nah, this is nuts. There's no way rocks can move by themselves. But it's just so weird because like some of the photos that have been taken, like it just looks like they've just been naturally pushed by something. There's the trail behind and the small mound of dirt in front of it.
Snail trail.
It's so strange. But yeah, it's I can imagine early 1900s somebody coming along going, right, hold on. That rock
What is this sorcery?
That rock wasn't there last month. There's a trail behind it. There's no footprints. Something's going on here, and some of the popular theories are obviously like ghosts, aliens, whatever.
Yes.
Usual. The usual.
Usually
Atlantis. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's a natural phenomena in the world.
Nice.
Well, that's very good.
That is very good.
On our last topic, isn't it?
As scariest TV show episodes.
Oh.
And again, start with my choice from the show Mr. Meaty. I don't know if either of you have ever heard of that show.
No, I don't think I have.
The episode from the show, however, called Mixmaster P, but like a brief explanation of the show is it's done through puppets, like actual like Muppet puppets, sort of, and they don't look good. They look disgusting, and that's sort of the point. It's a disgusting show about these two guys working in a fast food restaurant. They're like the cooks, basically. And one's an idiot.
I just had a look. Yeah, I've just had a look into it. I've seen snippets of this, but I've never seen like a full segment of it.
Yeah,
but they do look creepy.
It's wild. It's just disgusting. And the episode to match the disgustingness, Mixmaster P, is about the dumb one. I think he's like the shorter and dumb one. I don't know their names. It's been so long since I've seen the episode. I just remember it perfectly as the dumb one somehow manages to eat something that contains a tapeworm sort of creature. But it's not just like a normal tapeworm. It's one that will like come out of his mouth to eat the food he's going to eat. Sort of deal. So that sort of has an entry of his own disgusting, like, terrifying spookiness to it. And they spent the whole episode trying to like get it out of him.
It's just minging.
It's just minging. So some Australian safari park ranger wants to wrangle this tapeworm, manages to get it out of him, and but then immediately lets it escape through, I think, breaking its cage, and it just enters through the Australian guy's mouth, and it's now in him.
Oh my god.
And that's how the episode ends, I believe.
Oh Jesus.
So it's just a never-ending cycle of you're never going to be able to eat. You're probably going to starve.
Because that's minging.
It is absolutely minging. But yes, that is my first episode. Dylan?
That's good. That's good.
Oh boy. Yes. So my first choice is going to be an episode from Supernatural. So when I was first thinking about this this topic, I knew I was going to pick an episode from Supernatural because the very first few seasons of the show is very dark.
Oh yeah.
It's got a very, very dark undertone
What more
to the
gritty?
whole thing. It's very gritty. The episode I picked is The Asylum. There's definitely a few episodes where there's specific moments that have got jump scares and all that that'll be briefly scarier. I just find like this whole episode has such a spooky vibe to it, and just the basis of the plot and where they are. So this is from season 1, episode 10, and its basis is essentially it's an abandoned mental asylum, right? Which back in the day, I think this doctor used to torture patients and all that with really horrible things, and I think they revolted against him. But in the now times, it's like I think a couple teenagers are like, "Oh, there's this cool abandoned asylum. We should totally go check it out."
Yeah, radical.
Yeah. You're not scared, are you? We'll kind of go in. Just all that. So throughout the the episode. It's like just because it's in an asylum as well, it's just such a spooky place, and some of the things they see, whatnot. And this doctor who's like haunting the place. I think he did this like weird drill thing. It's been so long since I've seen it. It's a season 1 episode. I think he did like this sort of drill shit into the patient's
like
brains.
a lobotomy.
And he appears throughout the episode a few times as a ghost. And even just his presence is like.
He does
no,
like look creepy in himself as well, and like just imagine being in that asylum with him cutting about. Just
no baby.
Fuck no baby. I think that was definitely a scary episode out of the lot.
Yeah,
it's definitely a good choice. There, like you says, the early seasons, and there are some in the later seasons of Supernatural, but like there, some of the early seasons, like it's just dark,
Very
creepy, because they're hunters of the supernatural. It's in the name. Good choice anyway. So my first one is gonna be one that I don't. Most of the episode itself I don't recall, but it's just one line from it that is stuck with me. So it's called Werewolf Skin, and essentially, well, I'll read out the blurb, or where is it? Okay. With 2 werewolf intruders about to come intrude their window.
Wow.
That's how it's written. Alex decides to use every photographer's favorite improvised weapon, the camera flash. The werewolves freak out and run off to parts unknown, leaving Alex alone until morning. So essentially, Alex is a kid in school. He's wanting to be a photographer, and he's obviously there's werewolves in it, and through the episode, he's just getting closer and closer to the truth of the werewolves, like trying to hunt them down, get good photos of them. I think for the school paper or something, because he's been reading in the paper about hikers going missing, etc. And so he's like, maybe if I get a photo opportunity of these attacks, something good will come my way, or such like. So he's getting closer and closer to the truth, and at one point he starts to suspect his aunt and uncle. I again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but he starts to suspect them, and then somebody reassures him. It's like, no, it can't be them, or they say, no, it can't be us. And then he's reading the paper one morning over breakfast, and it's like 3 hunters missing, blah blah blah, and goes to his uncle, "Oh, are you not having anything to eat?" And he goes, nah, we had a bite last night. And then he's like, but he tries not to let on to his uncle that he suspects him. And it's just that one line that stuck with me ever since seeing the episode is, "We had a bite last night," and him going so yeah, for me, when I was younger, this episode, Goosebumps in general as a kid, is creepy in itself, but this one episode, it was just the fear of, I know it's my aunt and uncle, but I don't know what to do with this information. Was just creepy for me. And then some of the sequences were like jump scares and like just these horrific werewolves coming after this guy called Alex, and it's just it's just a creepy episode of Goosebumps. But there are some other episodes of Goosebumps that really got me as well, but that's, I don't know why, but that's just one line that just stuck with me. "We had a bite last night," and then him going but yeah. That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it for that episode.
Well, mine's a bit tough to decipher where it came from, but I swear this exists. This is an episode that I found somewhere. I reckon out of the 11 seasons of this show that it has, it's from Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids,
Grizzly Tales for Gruesome Kids.
which
That's a
is
good one as well.
is famous for a lot of, just shit scary episodes. Like
Yeah.
one of them being a barber that cuts off your tongue if you're rude to him.
What even was the 90s, honestly?
It was wild. But one that stuck with me is, I don't know the title of the episodes, but I'm just gonna call it Very Smelly Kid. And the episode entails a child who just refuses to bathe or wash, and it eventually just leads to his parents being like, I can't fed up with this. He won't listen to us. And while they can't do anything, his smell is so bad after not washing for God knows how many years, it leads to aliens coming to Earth to marry him off to a disgusting alien daughter
Oh my god.
that the child obviously has no consent nor want to, but he has no choice in it because they're scary aliens. And I just remember that like scaring the absolute damn out of me. It's like, I'm never being smelly. I'm not wanting to be abducted by smelly aliens, because they also smell, I think.
Aye.
That's so weird. Like, you smell so bad, aliens will come and get you.
Gonna be married to this daughter.
If you have kids or if brothers sisters have kids, just tell them if you don't wash behind your ears, you'll get so smelly. Aliens will come and get you.
It's just so bizarre. Like, who came up with this?
Oh, there are some grisly tales that spook me.
The Grizzly Tale, even the intro for it, where the kid's just sitting in the cinema and he's eating his popcorn, and it like flashes and the popcorn turns into a bunch of insects.
Oh god.
That imagery in itself is... Yeah. That's my second one. Can't mind the show name. Very Smelly Kid.
Very smelly kid.
My second pick is from the childhood, and you will both know it. From Courage, the Cowardly Dog.
Oh,
There's many an episode
of my favorite
TV
TV shows.
Yeah. There's many episodes that could be picked as a thing, but this is like one of the standouts with King Ramsay's curse. And my God, I just remember even like seeing the scene now, it's like, what the fuck? But yeah, the sort of basis of this episode is on the slab from King Ramsay's like tomb has been stolen, and so it's worth like $1 million or whatever, and the two people who steal it decide to bury it and then come back for it later, which obviously Courage goes outside, investigates the patch of ground, digs it up, and then he brings it in. And that's when Eustace is like, I'm rich.
Stupid dog.
Oh, because he comes across it and he's like, "It's mine."
It pops up on the TV, being like, it's worth $1 million. So he's like, it's mine. And then the famous scene comes up of, it's like really late at night, it's all misty outside, and they look out the door, and there's King Ramsay's ghost, which is like this weird CGI, and it's just so eerie, creepy when you watch it, like with the sounds and the music as well. And it's like, return the slab or suffer my curse. And it's like, oh my god.
It's definitely one that haunted a lot of 90s people.
Yeah,
for sure.
Good god. But just and Eustace as well. It's like, what's your offer? I want me $1 million.
Yeah, he's unfazed. He's like, just give me money.
You see on the slab, it's like just before he appears, King Ramsay, his ghost. You see on the slab, the engraving of King Ramsay disappears, and then there's like three curses that he Courage on the house. So I think the first one is the rain coming from inside the house, like starts flooding the place.
Mm-hmm.
And say Courage finds a way, he goes all the way down to the basement and like unplugs this plug. The second bit occurs because he offers him King Ramses offers Eustace like 3 chances to like give the slab back, and he's still like, I want me money. Like, he's my money.
Yeah.
The second one was like the really loud, annoying, obnoxious music with the record player. Carnage goes and finds it, breaks it, and destroys it up. Then the third thing is just that like plague of beasties or whatever that like just like fly in, just eat up everything. Which that bit as well was quite like, oh my god, Jesus. But yeah,
Creepy crawlies coming after you. Stuff.
That whole episode, man. And then at the end, it's like the half destroyed house, and Muriel and Courage just rocking back and forth watching the TV like nothing's happened.
just chilling.
Yeah. While Eustace is like trapped on the return slab at the end.
Oh god. But I remember being creeped out by that episode. Just
Things from Courage. Like even the you're not perfect. Chills.
So, my sticking with the animated theme, SpongeBob.
Oh boy.
An episode called Graveyard Shift. Now, I don't know. Like looking back, I'm like, it's just like it's scary for a kid, but I'm like, whatever. But at the time when I was a child and I watched this episode, I was quite feared for it. So the synopsis of it is, or the blurb: the crew at Krusty Krab's are forced to work overtime one night. Bored with the night shift and with the restaurant empty, Squidward conjures up a spooky tale to creep out SpongeBob. His story is pretty detailed as he talks about the hash-slinging slasher. Hash is in, I think, like...
Oh, yeah.
Either corned beef hash or, like potato hash browns. Anyway, hash-slinging slasher. A former fry cook whose clumsiness lost him a hand, which was later replaced with a spatula. He later got run over by a bus and was fired from his job at the funeral. So, basically, the whole episode, it's because it's set at night as well. It's got that creepy, eerie aspect to it, and throughout the episode, Squidward is just trying to scare SpongeBob, and then suddenly, or at one point in the night, just across the road from the Krusty Krab, a bus pulls up, and off gets this dark figure, and the bus pulls away, and he's just the figure is just standing there out in the dark, and they can kind of make out the silhouette from within the restaurant, and then the silhouette raises one hand, and it's a spatula, and SpongeBob freaks out, going, "Oh my god, the hash-slinging slasher's coming to get us," or whatever. Like the figure gets closer and closer to the restaurant, and it's just the suspense and build up and eeriness is just so creepy. And it turns out it's just some guy just likes to have his food cooked with his spatula. But and it's just it's just some guy. But it's just a creepy episode because of how they built the suspense in it. And I don't know if it's just like the way Squidward was telling a story about the crew chief who lost his hand and everything. It was just I think they pulled it off actually quite well with how they built the suspense of it, built it up being so creepy and everything. But yes.
There was a funny joke at the end of the episode as well, where like guy's revealed, the light switch was still coming on and off. And then SpongeBob turns, like, I think he like screams at something, but he stops and goes, "Oh, it's just Nosferatu!" And it goes to the room,
Nosferatu.
and it's just like an actual like cut-out frame picture of Nosferatu, like an actual person in black and white, switching the light on and off.
Yeah.
So out of nowhere.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. So I'll send you the photo because I've got it here actually. It's just from the film Nosferatu in the 1900s, whatever. They've just edited it slightly to be him flicking the light switch on and off. It's like, oh, it's just him. But oh god, yeah.
Fantastic.
It's just, yeah. For the bulk of it, yeah, it's just good in the way they built the suspense.
Oh yeah.
Just for a kids show, I mean, they pulled it off quite well. I feel like they did. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
British smoke.
My last one is from a show that I love dearly. One of my favorite cartoons to ever exist. Invader Zim.
Invader Zim.
And this episode called Dark Harvest. In case anybody out there doesn't know what Invader Zim is, the basic premise of the show is there's an alien what's the name? Army in space somewhere, like taking over planets constantly. They're called the Urkins, and there's a very incompetent one called Zim who goes to Earth, which isn't even on their conquest list. It's not even on their map, pretty much. So Zim goes to try and take over the world, and most of the episodes are just him going through schemes or researching humans, and it ends up being disgusting. Like there's an episode where we find out he's allergic to water, and it's just disgusting. He starts like burning. There's another episode where he gets like a best friend. So you want a best friend, but the guy becomes too annoying and is constantly trying to be next to Zim. So Zim's idea to end this is to scoop out the guy's eyes and replace them with cybernetic eyes. To which, whenever he sees a squirrel, he thinks that is Zim. So he chases after a squirrel. However, Dark Harvest, this episode, is just terrifying for the simple fact that it's to do with organ trafficking. And
that's a bit grim.
Because in the episode, I believe Zim claims that he's unwell, so he goes to the nurse's office and he gets an X-ray. I don't know why there's an X-ray in a school nurse's office, but and they scans him, and she was like, "Oh, you don't have any organs." So he becomes quite worried that will sort of expose himself as an alien because he's trying to pass himself as a human kid. So for the episode, he abducts school kids, taking their organs and putting them inside himself and replacing their organs with paraphernalia. So like there was a school monitor, hall monitor, who got his liver, I believe, replaced with a dumbbell.
What?
And as he gradually gets more and more organs, in fact, he like doubles down the organs. So he's got like 4 lungs, 2 intestines. He becomes like a big fat monster. And there's a point where he'll just cough because he's so full, and like intestines will like roll out of his mouth. So it's disgusting. But the episode doesn't end well. His nemesis, Dib, who's trying to stop him, fails by the end of the episode. Nothing good comes out of it. Apart from Dib is now missing, I believe, one of his organs, and it's been replaced with one of those toys that, you know, if you turn it upside down, it goes, and you do it again, it goes, like a cow one. It's like a literal moo one. And he's now stapled as the cowboy.
The cowboy.
And then it just goes on to the next episode like nothing's happened. So it doesn't end well. But yeah, that's Invader Zim for you. There's so many like weird episodes. Like there's one where Zim constantly changes stuff in the past that happens to Dib. He like replaces a tricycle that Dib's on when he was like 4 years old with a pig, and he like crashes and he like injures himself. And he consistently does this more and more to Dib through like time travel to the point where he's crippled and needs an iron lung.
What the fuck?
It is
God.
the show is diabolical and I love it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's Invader Zim. And that's my episode. The last one.
That just sounds grim.
Mm-hmm.
Is?
Well, my last pick for this is a Doctor Who episode called The Empty Child. Like this, it's part of a 2-part episode, but it's more specifically The Empty Child that sort of sets up the whole thing. That's the scary part, the
Yes.
spooky one. Oh my god, I always found this so just unsettling. And it's during Christopher Eccleston's time as the Doctor, to which himself and Rose go back to like World War II times in the what's and the basis of this episode is this child, right? Who goes about. He's got the gas mask on. There's like a cut on his hand, and he's going about, and he's like, "Are you my mummy? Mummy!" Just looking for this whoever his mum is, right? Who we find out obviously. But it's so weird as well because anyone that kid touches, he infects, and they they grow. The actual animation for it as well is so creepy, where they just grow the gas mask on their face, and they're just
Jeez.
like
It's just like
not
plasticky
speaking.
transformation. It's not even
Yeah.
fleshy.
And oh my god, I just remember the whole episode. Like they're trying to run away, but find out a solution as this kid's just chasing them. You're my mummy. And I think towards the end of is it this episode or is it the start of the next where he takes control of everyone that he's touched, everyone that has this gas mask on.
God.
And oh my god, it's such a
Unsettling.
episode. It is very unsettling. As I say, it's like the mask's grown onto them.
Yeah.
Like it starts coming out from their mouth.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, yeah.
Fact, this is Christopher Eccleston. Sort of like it makes me want to mention something I discovered recently about him.
Oh yeah.
There was a photo I seen called Nerdy Fact. It says the Queen of England is reportedly a massive fan of Doctor Who and believes Christopher Eccleston's Ninth Doctor is one of the best incarnations of the character. There was that photo I saw. And then I seen an Instagram post of just the Queen. She's uploaded a photo of herself with her crown on. And Christopher Eccleston has commented, "Parasite in chief in her idiot hat." Somebody replies, "Careful, Chris." And he replies, "Kiss my arse."
Wow.
Don't give a fuck.
That's funny.
Just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah.
Parasite in chief.
In her idiot hat.
Says what he thinks.
Well, James, shall you wrap us up for this?
I
last
shall. One that I feel is quite. I don't know about existential. It's just if you were in this situation, it's the horrifying aspect of it. So it's from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and the episode is called Hush. Essentially, these creatures come and try to kill you. I don't know I can't remember if they're trying to eat you or they live off of stealing your voice. But if they're coming for you and they have you, they will take your voice, and if you scream, you make no sound. And I feel that is just horrifying in its own right. Because in most horror films, you scream and you die. In this, the dread of never being able to have your final yells heard by someone in the next room, even while these creatures kill you. It's horrifying, and it's one that I feel I've only seen the episode once when I was younger, and it's just I don't think I've ever forgotten about them because of the horrifying aspect of it. Is that you can't even scream to express your horror of these creatures, and yeah, it's there's right in the near the start of the episode, Buffy, who is a vampire slayer, hint, it's in the name. She I think she's at the school. She hears a young girl singing. Yeah, she's standing on a box singing, and it's quite a frightening song. I don't know why she's singing this anyway, but it's can't even shout, can't even cry. The gentlemen are coming by, looking in windows, knocking on doors. They need to take 7, and they might take yours. Can't call to mum, can't say a word. You're gonna die screaming, but you won't be heard. And it's just, oh god, it's just, oh, freaky. Like, just, there's the one scene, there's like 4 of them. One of them's he's got a scalpel, I think he's gonna do the killing with. And the other 3 are just standing clapping silently, like with massive grins on their face. And the guy on the bed or the table, whatever it is you can see he's like straining to scream, and it's just horrible. He's just no sound is coming out, and it's oh my god. Oh, it's one I've not forgotten. That of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is just a horrific thought of horror. But yes, they're called the Gentlemen.
Ricky.
Yeah, there are some other Buffy episodes that frightened me when I seen them. Just, I don't know, mainly jump scares or just the horror of it. But this one is like takes it to the next level. It's like you can't scream. It's but that's it.
Wow.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Electric Boogaloo 2.
Electric Boogaloo 2. And that's it. That's my last one.
Wow.
Woo!
Fantastic.
Woo!
Wrap this up. Been a good episode.
Good episode. Can't believe it's been a year since the last one.
I know. It's actually nuts. It's when Dylan messaged me a wee while ago. He was like, "Oh, are you keen to do it?" I was like, "Yeah." Oh my god, it's the second one already. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Getting to.
Thanks for coming back on again.
Thank you.
No bother. Thank you for having me.
No bother at all. A wonder to have.
Everybody had some good suggestions with their movies and whatnot.
Yes. Really good.
Well, thank you everyone for listening, especially this far.
Thank you for joining us.